Good afternoon. This is Mya. I am on the Mya Duboyce Podcast. I just want to give you some information on a carrier. And before I do, um, we will be doing this each and every week for the next few weeks, just so we can go over the carrier information. Now, one of the carriers I am going over, um, I do currently have a policy with them, and so does my dad. And one of the reasons that we chose to go with Mutual of Omaha with my dad's policy back in 2000 and 2000 and I want to say 2015 was number one was they would cover him for what we call a universal life index. With a universal life index, it does gain a cash value. That was not the only reason that I chose that. They were able to give him $30,000 at his age. Okay. So, with certain policies and with certain carriers, they do knock off at a certain amount. Okay. They were one of the cheapest. So that's another reason why I went with them. Doesn't mean that they're always going to be the cheapest, but they're definitely not the most high tech. They are also owners by their policyholders, and they're not shareholders. Okay, that was another reason that my dad went with them. One of the reasons also is because they're also located within the United States. Okay, um, and as most of you have most seen, you either see ads on TV for Mutual of Omaha, you either get a pamphlet in the mail. And the pamphlets are about this big. They came the same size as a postcard. Okay. Um, and typically they just say call this number to get your coverage. Okay. With that, Mutual of Omaha is rated with the AM Best. They're also rated with the Moody and the S&P. Okay, all of those they do have an A Best rating. Okay, so what that A Best rating means that they don't have complaints. They're paying out, and so as you look at a carrier, you do want to look at how many complaints they have versus their average of payouts. Okay, and that sometimes can be a little difficult. Of course, I know with the internet it's a little easier, but with the carrier, okay, they're still built to pay out. That's the vehicle with the whole game. Okay, is that as long as when you pass away, or even if you're having a life issue and you need to take out cash value, you can take that cash value out. Okay. Say for some instance, if something happens and you get cancer, okay, and you have a universal life index, or you have an index life universal, okay, any one of those you can take out funds on later in life. Okay. The policy, they have a no exam for the whole life and final expense. They are very simple to get approved. Most cases, it's an instant approval. If it's not an instant approval, typically it's within 3 to 5 days. Okay. I will say this, if you're going through an agent, typically they will have you sign some type of paper stating the agent can get information as to why you weren't approved or what more information they need. Okay. Um, Now, again, they are available in all 50 states as far as that goes with that information. Okay, bear with me just 1 second. Now, the policies that they do offer a term life 10 to 30 years. They also offer, again, as I said earlier, the whole life and the final expense product. We also have a universal life, and then we also have the index universal life. Okay. Now, take in mind with the index universal life, that one is a little different than the universal. Okay. And we can always go over that information. If someone is wanting to get that information, please just put it in the chat and I can go over that. They also offer a children's policy. Okay. Even if your child's health changes later, they're still insurable. That's huge. They have a no medical exam. You can insure your children from the age of 14 to the age of 17. This window locks in your price, locks in the information. Now, when they do turn 18, the policy doesn't stop. They actually, at 18, become the owner of the policy, which at that time they get more value. And then they also can add to the policies at the age of 25, 30, 35, and 40, plus any major life events. Now, they can increase those coverages without worrying about the health coverage. Now, this does depend upon what your initial policy is. Okay, so say if you only have a 5 or 10,000, they do look at that, and then they tell you how much you can add at each one of those life-changing events. Okay, now for the life-changing events, we have as a marriage, buying a home, having or adopting a child. Now, one of the good things about the children's policy is both parents and grandparents can take out this policy. Now, say for instance, you're being raised by a grandparent. The grandparent can take it out without asking the parent. There are some children's policies out there that you have to have permission from the parent. Mutual of Omaha is one of those that you do not. Okay. With Mutual of Omaha, a children's policy isn't about today. It's about locking in your child's future before life chance to complicate it. Okay. Again, over the next few weeks, I will be giving you carrier breakdowns. If there is a certain carrier, or if you want information on a carrier that you're currently with, so that you have ideas on what you're looking at with your policy, please feel free to put it in the chat and I will try and go over that information. If there's a certain question or concern you have, please put it in the chat and I would be willing to go over that information. Now, I also want to give you information on our website that can help you know kind of a ballpark range. We have https://www.funeralocity.com. You can go in there, you can click on your state. When you click on your state, that will then give you your funeral expense. It also gives you cremation, so you have an idea. Maybe if you're looking at your children, or maybe if you're looking at yourself, you're not sure like how much you should take out. It will give you what we are currently paying as far as that go. I will tell you this. Recently, we've had a death in a family friend, and what cremation used to be about 2 years ago, it has increased about $500 to $700. Okay, so taking that in mind, sometimes it can be kind of difficult to go, how much is inflation? Okay, so typically we recommend anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 on any of the children, just because of inflammation, or not inflammation, excuse me, implantation of the typical, things that are going up within the market, as far as that goes. Now, with life insurance, it's not about getting rich. It's about the guarantees that you have with your kids. Thank you, and I hope you have a good evening.